Thank you for joining us today on HXGN TV. I'm your host, Monica Miller-Rogers. Theory and practical applications should go hand in hand, yet these two concepts seem to be at opposite sides at times. Academia is accused of not being in touch with the field, while field professionals overlook theory-based applications for best practices. How do they meet in the middle? Here to discuss how the academic world and the professional world can and should coexist is Professor Stefan Nebeker of the University of Applied Sciences, Northwest Switzerland, and Rudy Wagner of Leica Geosystems. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Monica.
Rudy, let's start with you. So Leica Geosystems has partnerships with institutions of higher learning. How does the company view the academia world and the field professional together?
For us as a technical company that provides technical solutions to our customers, innovation is an absolutely important part. And I think in the past couple of years, everybody has realized that innovation does not come only out of one pool. Innovation has many facets, particularly in an increasingly complex world. So for us, having ties with those that educate the next generation of engineers, next generation of leaders in our field, it's quite important because that gives us, for once, access to some fresh ideas and new ideas that, we probably would overlook or at least would not have in the same way. And secondly, and I think this is also quite important, that it gives us a test field for our solutions that doesn't have the pressures of everyday performance. And that's quite important because obviously when customers come to Leica, they need a solution that really works in the field, that really delivers results and that is reliable. Those are the trademarks of our tools, and our customers expect that from us. But to get there requires quite a lot of testing as well, and universities are ideal test grounds for our solutions. So not only do we get very, very good feedback from the students that test those solutions because they have the time and can really go in depth, and they of course also have the knowledge of the latest standards in the field. And secondly, of course, and that's a little bit selfish, once they come out of university, they're familiar with our solutions, and that's good because number one, it keeps them or it keeps us in their minds when they leave the universities as leaders in the field. And of course, they can get to start being productive in their own environments with solutions that are already proven in the field. So there are many facets that are quite important to us, and we're quite happy to have a number of those partnerships with some of the leading universities, also the university that Stefan here represents.
Absolutely, these relationships are important because the next generation is coming from this academia world. So can you give us some examples of how Leica Geosystems is supporting the academia world?
Of course, I mean, for the two of us sitting here, we have done a couple of projects in the past, starting from internships right down to actual projects where we said this could be a future technology. A couple of years back, we did a project on merging airborne data together with mobile data. This was long before mobile was actually a household name with everyone like it is today. And it allowed us to really use that as a testing field. We didn't have the commercial pressures. We could fly the data, we could acquire the data, and Stefan and his team then had the time to really look at what algorithms would be used, what would be the best way to use these data sets in this application to deliver value to, let's say, a Department of Transportation or a municipality that would use that data then for planning purposes and so forth. And having a team of experts under the leadership like Stefan is quite useful for us because we don't always have the time to test all of those things going forward, and this allows us to be more broad, to have several fingers in various technologies that go forward. And then a second example, which is maybe a little bit more unusual, we've engaged from time to time, every couple of years or so, on a strategic workshop where we really, our Leica Geosystems leadership, as well as Stefan and other professors of his institution, plus students, go basically into reclusion for 2 days and think out how in the long term the future could look like. topics like what does surveying look like in 10 years? And that's quite fruitful because, besides the fact that you really focus on technology and you focus on some of the applications, you get a future view, something that lets go of what is today. Let's take all of that aside. Where do you see 10 years from now this could be? And having students that are engaged is for us very fruitful because it broadens our horizon, it gives us new ideas and fresh impulses. But I think also for Stefan and his students to be able to engage with people that are leading technology teams and delivering solutions on a daily basis, that gives them a different perspective of what's there after they leave university. What could be one option for them to engage in these activities? And being part of a manufacturing organization, hopefully from our perspective, this is very interesting, and that's something that we can transport to those students as well.
Absolutely. So such a two-way street there of the students and the professionals working together. So Stefan, can you tell me, at the University of Applied Science, Northwest Switzerland, how are you helping to prepare students for the field?
Well, as a University of Applied Sciences, we have the applied in our name, and this for us is a great opportunity because the application and the real world problems really are in the focus of our teaching and also of our research. And with students, they also come to our university with application, with solutions in mind. So they want to be close to what's happening in the field. They want to know what industry is doing. So we're trying to expose them throughout the study program to technologies, to solutions, both sides, commercial, but also open source. And at the same time, we try to train them in programming so they can go out and make a difference to off-the-shelf products and so on, to extend them and to adapt them to the specific problems they encounter in the field. So for us, these close ties also to industry are very important, and I think they're also very appreciated by our students. Rudy mentioned these projects, for example, the strategy workshop, and that is a lasting memory also for the students to really be out there in this seclusion in a monastery and to discuss with key personnel of Leica Geosystems what the future could look like, which kind of visions for new applications, for new technologies could we develop. This is really just a one-off thing, but I think it helps them to create a vision and also to understand how does technology development, how does innovation work in a setup such as Leica Geosystems.
Well, it certainly sounds like the students are very hands-on at the university, and that's definitely a benefit to them. But what do you see is the biggest challenge that is facing you in academia and interacting with the professional field?
Well, there is obviously a danger to just train students on technologies, and that's certainly not what is the main issue. The main issue is that students need a solid base. They need to really understand concepts, theories, and what we try is to actually not let it rest at this level, have them understand methods, concepts, and theories, but also put them to work. And this is certainly a challenge to find a balance of enough theory, of a sound foundation, and still make the link also during the study program, the link between theory and putting it to practice. That's one of the main challenges, but I think it's also one of the interesting parts of our profession.
Okay. And taking it out of the classroom for a second, how do you think universities such as your own support professionals in the field?
Well, Rudy mentioned some of the projects we're doing with your company. We're collaborating with numerous companies in the country, in the field. And what's interesting is definitely to have joint projects, for example, diploma thesis. They are typically together with industry, so that we sit together, define specific questions, problems, and then have students really work on it. And that's an interesting exchange, right, from the process when an idea is created to carry it through and right up to the presentation of the solution. So that's definitely an interesting part. We also try to expose our students to business development and questions such as creating their own businesses. And luckily we have had a number of spin-offs coming out of our university, and those earlier students, they serve some kind of as a role model for the current students to see what could be done, give them ideas or give them a vision of how you could create your own business and how you could be successful, but also how you could fail by trying to start an own business in the geospatial domain.
It's a great application for any student.
Yeah, sure.
So Rudy, let's step back into the classroom for a second. And how do you think that professionals can best support students?
Oh, there is a number of things. I think that the one closest to me myself, because I've done this quite a few times in the past, is of course support upcoming students and graduates that are close to maybe doing a master's thesis or so with their daily work, and that gives you interaction. And I think this is quite rewarding, because for everyone in a leadership position, being able to coach the next generation, people that take over from you, people that carry the flag, people that have new ideas, that bring in fresh ideas, is quite essential. For a technology company, we can't live without that. And so for us, I think it should be part of our job not only to coach and mentor those that work with us in our own teams, but it should be also part of our jobs to go out there, back to the universities, back into the classrooms, and share our experiences, but at the same time be mentors, be coaches for projects, help them to understand what's important in the professional world. And I remember many years back when we went, when I was still at university and was helping to review students, I remember once somebody came to me and says, "Oh, I set out to answer that question, but I didn't find the answer. Now what am I going to write about?" And I think that's so symptomatic for today's world. It's not what we set out to do to find. If we knew it up front, it wouldn't be exploring, it wouldn't be innovation, right? So innovation is happenstance. Innovation is, as you mentioned just now, it's making mistakes, but it's learning from those mistakes and doing it better going forward. And I think us that have the daily environment of having to deliver solutions and knowing what it takes to do that, we are, I think, good mentors, or we can be good mentors to those that are still learning and that are still going forward and say, how can I bring my ideas into a business plan? How does it happen that an idea turns into a product that then turns into a commercial solution that I can sell? This is processes. This is a lot of ways, and I think we can do that much better than we do already. And I think that's certainly one of the take-home messages for me. Always when I go and visit the universities, I always say I want to do more, because it's really rewarding. The second thing I think that we can do is we can help. Besides the mentoring and coaching, to offer more field-wise approaches. I out myself here, I'm a geologist by training, and one of the advantages of being in geology was that we were very small groups. And part of being geology is that you always had to go out, because geology is a science that you have to learn. It's all about the earth, and you got to go out there and you got to see how this rock formation looks, and you got to learn the investigative skills about earth processes out in the field. And that gave me a lot of opportunity not only to engage with my fellow students, because you had to go out there. You travel for 2-3 weeks to some location, but professors were always there, and that gives you a closeness. This gives you an exchange that is far removed from some of the other study offerings that are out there, where you have 1,000 students in the classroom and one professor giving a lecture. This is one of the advantages of geomatics and studying geomatics or anything related to earth sciences. We have small groups, and the application is already part of it. That gives you a closeness to your professors, and you learn from the good guys. But for us as an organization, we should provide more offerings, like these groups coming to us, not only visiting our showrooms, not only visiting our manufacturing processes, which we do already, but maybe visit some of our operations. Being able for us to arrange a visit to a mine site where we have automated processes. Jürgen, in his speech, in his keynote speech here at the ISPRS conference, I think gave a good overview of where geomatics and geospatial technology today is applied. And there are so many applications out there where geomatics students can find and realize their own ideas and what they want to do. And for us as an organization that has these connections and has these vertical applications, we could facilitate more going forward. And then lastly, of course, we are at the ISPRS conference here. Happens every 4 years. It brings quite a lot of people together from various fields. And for us, being here to engage, being here to create networks, to make connections and talk about what could we do, like we're doing right now, I think is a very, very useful seed that could grow into much more collaboration going forward. And I think we need that.
Absolutely. So gentlemen, to wrap up, a question for both of you. How do you see the academic and the professional moving together in the future?
Well, I see one important issue is really apart from the benefits of working together, is really the competition for talent. And I think the industry is well advised to stay close to universities, not necessarily to sell products or whatever, because universities are not the typical customers, but to get students exposed, to show them how their future professional options could look like, and to be in touch, because we see that organizations who get involved at an early stage, that they are also a lot more successful than in hiring these students than those who stay away from universities and think, well, once they're out, we advertise new positions. So I think it's industry is well advised to be in touch, but not in an aggressive way, but just to actually. There are numerous options of being involved, be it projects, be it study programs, be it joint workshops, be it joint research projects, which might not be so directly related to what the students do, but again, it serves as an example. Students are curious, what is this project about? Are you working on with postdocs and so on? They're keen to learn what is happening in these research projects, and they found out, okay, there's this company behind it. So I think industry is well advised to be on good grounds with universities, and vice versa. It's also very beneficial for us.
Absolutely. As both of you were saying earlier, this is a great pool to gain talent for the organizations. So Rudy, any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll just want to take that as a message. Obviously industry is big and everybody approaches their own targets in a different way. But I think what Stefan says is quite important for us. And for me, as being somebody that is fortunate to lead a team in a very exciting technology, I've always found it very beneficial to go out there and not only talk to customers. This is absolutely important. You got to talk to customers, but to spend some time in your daily schedule to really engage with universities. This could be through just normal visits. This could be often, and I've done that quite a lot, through colloquiums, that you're invited to talk on a special topic, and if it's a fresh and a nice topic that kind of like really speaks about applications, I feel that most students are hungry to learn more about that, and it draws them into the classroom, and afterwards you engage. And then lastly, I think we all should make it mandatory for us to set aside a little bit of that time to coach, not only your own staff, not only your own colleagues, but to really go and spend time on those young talents, to coach them and tell them where it goes. They may choose to go somewhere else. This is the risk that you take. This is how democracy works. This is how we all are. But by engaging, you already learn so much. You take so much home for yourself. And you have the chance that if you really do it right and if it works, that this person decides to work for your company. And what better could it be if we are not having to look for talent, but talent would come to us because they think, hey, this company does great stuff and it would be fantastic to be part of that team. I think this applies to sport. Quite a lot of sports people want to go out and say, I want to be part of that team, and for companies it applies in the very same way. And we can do a lot of work in our own daily business to really make that. It doesn't cost a lot of money, costs a little bit of time, but I think the rewards are worth it.
Absolutely, benefits on both sides of the fence here, and definitely this has been very insightful for how these two worlds can go together in the future and be that hand in hand that they should be. Gentlemen, Rudy, Stefan, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights with us today.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
For more on the University of Applied Sciences, Northwest Switzerland, please visit fhnw.ch. And to watch more episodes of HXGN TV, tune in at hxgntv.com. Thanks for watching.